rope. The crusty traditionalists complained when public libraries started offering more than books, magazines, CDs, videos, all these newfangled computer thingies. This wasn't real librarianship. Now a library in Europe is trying a bold new venture, lending people instead of literature. You want to borrow a Muslim, a lesbian, a criminal? No problem. It's all part of the service. From Malmo in Sweden, a little shush please for one of a new breed of librarians, Katarina Noren. Katarina, welcome. What was the inspiration behind the Living Library?
Well, we were a group of people working at our library with questions about integration problems. And someone had read an article about something going on in Denmark. It was at a youth musical festival. And they had, at some occasion, lent out people. And so we decided this could be something for us during the Malmö Festival last year. And we had 9 people to offer, and it all turned out to be a huge success. We had, for instance, an imam, a Muslim woman, a gypsy woman, a lesbian, a journalist, a Danish woman.
You know how people are with library books. Aren't you concerned that, you know, somebody will borrow somebody and not return them for 30 years? And they'll turn up covered in dust at a jumble sale.
Well, that's their problem, not mine.
What kind of safeguards do you have when lending people out? How do you actually operate it?
You have the opportunity to borrow a person for 45 minutes, and then you sit down and have a discussion, man to man or woman to woman, with a cup of coffee, and you could ask any question you like, but the living book doesn't have to answer everything. The living book decides just how far he or she wants to go.
What kind of responses have you had from borrowers and from books?
Only positive, enormously positive. For instance, there was a person, several persons actually, who said, this should be in all libraries every day. This is so important, it should be going on all the time. And another, how wonderful, I've learned so much, and I'm not afraid of these people anymore.
Who was your most borrowed living book?
It was the imam and the Muslim woman. Also, the lesbian was very popular. But actually, all the living books were borrowed practically all the time.
Can you give an example of where somebody came away having borrowed a living book where their view of the world was changed?
Yes, for instance, there was this animalist who acted as a living book, and there was a hunter that wanted to have a talk with him. And the animal activist was quite nervous. But it turned out they had about the same kind of view. When they sat down and talked about things, they had so much in common, and they turned out real good friends.
That's a great story. This idea is basically about confronting prejudices. Did you discover your own prejudices?
Well, we all have prejudices, I as well as everybody else. We are victims of prejudices as well, every one of us. Me being a librarian, for instance, that's a prejudice about librarians.
What's the prejudice about librarians, other than that you go shush a lot?
Being dull, being unattractive, being severe. No, actually, next time we are lending a librarian as well.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Are there any sorts of people that you have decided it's better not to lend?
So far not. Politicians we are a little skeptical about because we don't want to be too much involved in this at present.
You've arranged for us to speak to today a book and a borrower. Can you tell us a little bit about who we're going to meet?
Yes, you'll meet hour, transvestite, who was a living book last December, and one of the persons who borrowed him.
Well, Katarina Noren, it's, as I said, a great idea. Thank you for setting it up, and thank you for your time this evening.
You're so welcome.
And joining me now, the living book, Sara-Claes Schmidt, a.k.a. and her borrower, Camilla Gisslow. Please make them welcome. Thank you both for being with us. Sarah, I'll start with you. How far back does the urge to express your femininity go?
Yeah, I know that I've been kind of different all my life, but when I found out exactly what it was all about, I don't know. When do you start to know things? 5, 6, 7 years, something?
When did the word transvestite first come into your life?
When I could read, somewhere around 8, 10. I saw it in a book. I saw a picture, and I saw some guys and a beautiful woman, and I read a text that the woman wasn't a woman, it was a transvestite. So I said, okay, that's what I am. I suddenly found a name of what I was doing. And I looked it up in the book, and that was not a nice experience.
Why was that?
Now, in the book, it said at that time, transvestite, a homosexual man who is dressing in the clothes of the opposite sex to get some kind of sexual relief or something. And I thought I was heterosexual, so I was kind of confused. What, homosexual, when does that start? Does that come when you're 12 or 15 or what? I didn't know. And I didn't dare tell anybody. I didn't dare ask anybody. So, and you couldn't read anything about this in the papers or hear anything on television or radio. Transvestites didn't exist at all anywhere. So it was kind of lonely.
Very difficult, I'm sure. Did you still, whenever you could, take the opportunity to dress up as a female?
Yeah, but I didn't have so much things. You know, you got to hide it somewhere where nobody can find it. Your parents shouldn't find it, or anybody else should find it. And it's a terrible situation to be a secret transvestite, since you have to hide. You even have to wish the one you love out of the house sometimes.
Because you became married and you kept this a secret until you were 40. When did you come to reveal yourself?
I didn't. My wife found out. She was away for some days, and I took the opportunity to dress, and I was living out the whole thing and had a real good time. And then that happened, what used to happen when people go away, they come back. But she came back a little early, a little too early, so I wasn't really ready. And I had to go to work, and she went to bed, and she could feel there was a smell of perfume in the bed. And you know women. She looked around in the flat everywhere. She looked after for tracks. What had happened? What was around? And she found a receipt from a shop where I had bought some bra or something, and she found a box with a hosiery. And she confronted me directly. And I said, there's nobody else. There's nobody else. It's only me. And at that second, I knew my life was over. Nobody can understand this. It doesn't work. But it did. And she said, I don't care if you prefer to dress like the same way half of the population of the world does, but don't lie to me. It was the lie that was the big thing for her. To me, it was the fact that I was not normal. Now I know I'm not normal. I know I'm a little bit different.
That moment when you had to reveal to your wife your true nature, that must have been absolutely terrifying.
You bet. You bet, it was. I thought my life was over. I thought this is the end. So I thought I could just as well tell the truth. This is the way that it is. This is the way I am.
What did her acceptance mean to you?
It meant everything, because it meant that I suddenly could live a life. And before, it took my time. It was always on my mind, always, always, always. And that's a thing that we should think about, that it takes a lot of energy to hide something within yourself. That's why it's so important that we let people talk and let people be who they are instead of who the society expects us to be. It takes a lot of energy to keep a secret. And you can use that energy to a lot of other things. The biggest adventure that you can achieve is to live the life you dream of. And that's what I'm doing right now, thanks to my wife.
When you were first approached to be a living book, what did you think?
Great, fantastic idea. I heard about it and I thought, well, why didn't they pick me? Because people have a lot of strange feelings and strange thoughts about transvestism, mostly because they don't know anything about it.
What sort of people borrowed you, Sarah, and what did they want to know?
Normal people, ordinary people. There was one transvestite who's been hiding for 72 years, and he came up and he looked around and said, well, I'm like you. And I thought, what do you mean like you? Are you from Malmö? Are you from Sweden? Are you a marketing director? Are you what? I'm a transvestite. He didn't look at it at all. And that's the way it is. You can tell a person if he's a transvestite or not. And he's been hiding it for 72 years. And I was the first person he told that he was a transvestite.
Camilla, thank you for your patience while we're talking to Sarah there. You were in the library with a friend. How was it that you decided to borrow Sarah?
First, when I saw Sarah, I've never met a transvestite before. I've seen some transvestites before, but I never talked to anyone. And I thought it could be very exciting to ask her some questions, because I remember a couple of years back, I lived in a very small town here in Sweden, and there was a transvestite, but he was always on his own, and everybody sort of didn't want to talk to him, and they talked to him behind his back and stuff, and I felt so sorry for him. So when I saw Sarah, I felt that I really, really wanted to talk to her and ask things that I was wondering about.
What was your first impression of Sarah when you were sitting opposite her, talking to her? What were you thinking?
The first thing was that, oh, this is really a transvestite, because you can clearly see that man. And but very beautiful. So very strong. She's very strong. She's not scared of being who she is, and very comfortable talking to also.
After you'd been talking with Sarah for a while, you came to the decision to introduce your son Sam to Sarah. Can you tell Sam's story?
Well, Sam is actually born a girl, like it's a girl, but ever since she was a very little baby, she's been more like a boy. And first I thought she was more like a tomboy, but when she was 4 or 5, that's the first time when Sam told me that, Mama, I am a boy, I'm not a girl. And first I thought that, well, maybe she doesn't really know. But then I saw, we were all like her sisters and me was like, oh no, of course you're a girl. And you have braids and dresses and she was like, but doesn't boys have dresses and braids? I said, no. And that's when she cut off her hair. And she refused wearing dresses and skirts after that. And slowly I just realized that she's sincere. And it's been difficult because I've been scared of what if she will live and what would people say, and so it's been a journey with Sam. So it's for me as a mother, how can I be as the most supportive mom to help Sam to be strong and secure within himself and confident. So that's why, that was really one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk to Sarah.
Sarah, when you first saw Sam, what did you think?
Nice boy.
You saw Sam directly as a boy? Mm.
He looks like a boy. He acted like a boy, talked like a boy. I mean, I wouldn't think it was anything else.
And Camilla, how did Sam react to Sarah?
That was very interesting because when I phoned Sam and asked if he wanted to join us at the library, and he said, yeah, I'll be there right away. I was a little bit scared that maybe he would think, as I thought when I saw Sarah, that this is really a transvestite. Maybe Sam would feel a little bit intimidated or scared, but the complete opposite, really. It was interesting because Sam just completely relaxed and became himself and show another side that he hadn't really shown me before either. It was like Sam was feeling like we're the same, even though they're not the same, but it's like Sarah and I guess, yeah, trans persons feel that they're maybe a group, I guess. And so I could see that Sam, he was a part of that group. So he felt Morris was like, he stretched his back and was very confident in the way he was talking, and the questions he asked Sarah was very confident and strong. It was very interesting to see.
Sarah, transvestism and transsexuality are different things. What advice were you able to give Sam?
He already has the answer. Be yourself. But the most difficult thing is to find out who you actually are. We have this of thinking. You're either a man or a woman, and a transsexual is also either a man or a woman. There are people who just want to be human, want to be a human being. They don't want to be looked upon as men or women. They just want to be people. So there are a lot of thoughts you have to go through. Who are you really? Are you an either-or person, or are you a both or a neither person, or who are you actually?
Camilla, what did Sam take from his meeting with Sarah?
When we came home and we sat down and talked about the meeting, he felt that he felt more secure of trying to tell his friends about himself. And after that meeting, he actually started to tell some of his friends that he felt that he was actually a boy, not a girl, that he's born into the wrong body, so to speak.
Was he accepted by his friends when he told them this?
If they were like a little bit peculiar, like, oh, but how can you be a boy when you are a girl? And he was explaining how he was feeling inside and how he's always felt. And they start to have these discussions about when he grows up. He said that when I grow up, I'm going to have the operation and I'm going to take away my breasts and all these things. And they were really concerned about that and would say, but don't do that, you will go bald. And they had all these different kind of beliefs that, oh, you will get cancer. And then they all came and sat down and discussed this with me and asked questions. And I think kids are very open in general, but it's the parents, the grown-ups, that really give some prejudices and stuff. Because some of the parents didn't like it, and one of the parents actually forbids Sam to play with one of their sons because they were afraid that they will make him be a transsexual too. It would be a girl. So it's been a lot of conflicts like that, but it goes up and down. Sometimes it's not a problem. Sometimes when they can't really understand the thing, they tease him. And he can be very sad, and he doesn't want to go to school and stuff. But in general, I feel that it's been positive. It's more the parents, I think, that has a problem with it, not the kids.
Has meeting Sarah been a turning point for you?
Yeah, I feel more positive in my role as a parent, what I can do to help Sam to grow up and be strong and confident in himself.
Camilla,
yeah.
You would like to be a book yourself now, is that correct?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
And Sarah, what sort of book would you like to borrow next time?
Oh, that's a difficult one. The biggest prejudice we have is the feeling that we don't have any. So I'm going to be there and see what I find. And that's interesting to talk about with everybody. And I would also like to say that the most important thing for everybody is to, as I used to say, and I said to Sam as well, be yourself. Everybody else is already taken.
Yeah.
On that note, Sara Lund, Camilla Gisslow, thank you both very much.